Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned.
Tune the madness down the rage. The world's a jungle stage by stage. Shock Monkey Radio. Feel the static, let it go. Monkey Radio. Twist the dial and lose control.
Why have I been getting so many Blue Chew ads lately? I don't really get this, you know. I mean, I've been told that all of our devices are constantly listening to us. They can anticipate what kind of products we may want to buy in the future, but I keep getting these Blue Chew ads. It's like, aren't you even listening to me on my devices? You should be doing that. You should understand that, first of all, I have no problem in that area. Okay? I don't know what sort of information you can get from my social media or the device listening apps you got on my phone, where you can, extrapolate that kind of information about me. So why are you sending me those ads? Second of all, if you are listening to me, you should know that I haven't had a girlfriend in like 20 years. I mean, all this listening on my, it's like a Prince song. You drop it on the floor, is all I heard. You know what I mean? You should know for 20 years there's been none of that going on. So why are you giving me Blue Chew ads? Or did just Blue Chew said everybody, every dude from 45 to up, send them the Blue Chew ads? Is it like that, or is there something personal? I feel like I'm being assaulted here. All this watching and listening, and you don't know I don't get laid? I feel like betrayed as a consumer. You should know more about me. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I am your host, The Madman. I want to let you know that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate that. I need a new laptop. You can also send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word, and you can follow me on social media up at the top. We had some storms come through. Between the heat and the storms, man. Been crazy. Been crazy this summer. Almost cruel, you know. Anyway, so I of course love baseball. And recently people have brought to my attention the like Savannah Bananas, the banana ball, as it's called. It's a kind of how can I say this, bastardized version of baseball that is designed to be more entertaining. You have that image of those idiots dancing on the mound. And I mean, I guess, I've looked at some clips on the YouTubes and so forth, and okay, I get how it's entertaining. I really don't like the purpose of uniforms is to look uniform. And maybe it's the military man in me, but I don't know. It just bothers me. And the spectacle of it, it's just trying to be a spectacle. And if you're the kind of person who said baseball is too boring and slow paced, then you don't understand baseball. And I think that's a problem for you. Because baseball is it's a mental game as well as physical. It's the samurai game of the Americas. It's mental, it's physical, it's agility, Instead of silly rules like you knock a foul ball into the stands and a fan catches the foul ball, then the batter's out. These are the kind of ridiculous rules they have in banana ball. Or they could have a fan challenge a call and ridiculous stuff like that. Guy on stilts throwing pitches. If you're 12 foot tall, all right, people want to say it's like you're 12 foot tall. First of all, it's a completely different angle. Second of all, you don't get any extra whip. If anything, how fast can you throw if you're pitching on stilts? You got baseballs on fire and so forth, and ridiculous rules like bunting is illegal. Bunting is a very important strategic play in baseball. Okay, but you'll get thrown out of a game in banana ball. There's a lot of things I do like about Banana Ball, which is, number one, they pack stadiums. People are highly entertained by it because they're, low IQ idiots. And Banana Ball caters to the lowest common denominator in terms of baseball. I'm not saying you have to be like Ben Shapiro, like I'm doing the stats, doing every single play, filling out the score sheet and stuff like that at every baseball game. But I am saying that, baseball is, I don't know, it's like collegiate wrestling or Olympic wrestling, and Banana Ball is like the WWE. I'm fine with both existing. Okay, I really am. But the problem is that when you have like two different leagues, you got the Banana Ball started by the Savannah Bananas, great name by the way, and when it comes to the Savannah Bananamas, the Savannah Bananas, with the heat and the storms, it's been a cruel summer. Sorry. When it comes to the Savannah Bananas, you don't want the two leagues to get to a point where they're competing with each other, and in like 2 or 3 years, Shohei Ohtani goes to the Savannah Bananas. It's just like, I've had enough of being serious about baseball. Now I just want to have fun. And I'll be honest with you, when you watch Banana Ball, you say, hey, that looks a lot more fun than regular baseball. However, I want regular baseball to exist and the MLB to be the superior true baseball. In fact, if Banana Ball starts to exist, then we need to start getting rid of the new rules that have come up in regular baseball, like the pitch clock and this no contact at second and home base nonsense. We can go back to like original baseball rules, since we have this absurd version of baseball that admittedly is fun, looks fun, and when it comes to all the farm leagues of baseball players throughout this country and all over the world, really, there's a ton of single A, double A, triple A guys who would love to go play for the Savannah Bananas just for the fun of it. They're at the point where I'm not going to get to the show. I'm not going to be the next, Chris Sale or something like that. So I might as well go have fun with it. I get it. I'm okay with both of these things existing. I just do not want one to affect the other. Like, for example, if like good players in baseball start saying, screw it, I want to have fun and I'm going to go to Banana Ball. And if you're a good enough Banana Ball player, I think you should be able to go to the MLB. I'm sorry, I know I seem like I have a double standard at this, but I mean, I don't know, there's a purity to the baseball that I really respect and I love, but I understand it's still a game. And just like when we play our role-playing games, it's like, screw this rule, we're not going to do that. I guess it's what we call house rules when you play role-playing games. It's like, that FACO stuff, we're not doing it. To hit armor class 0, we're not doing that nonsense. Here's our own system we've developed to do that. It's a game at the end of the day. And as long as you're having fun, I really don't care. And maybe it's just the military in me or the purist in me. Will Banana Ball destroy baseball? Lord, I hope not. Lord, I hope not. Dancing on the mound. That stuff. They got to get the guys out there with the rakes and so forth. And the chain thing. Every single time you do that. And apparently the dancing thing's like a really big part of it because they, put Instagram. And take that away. I'm getting pissed off now. All right, bring up one of the people standing in line. I think I went to Sandusky, Ohio once. I'm pretty sure it's this, because I went to a lot of like amusement parks when I was a kid. And this one time, I think it was Sandusky, Ohio, and I was waiting in line for the Magnum XL 2000. I don't know if it's still there. This was like 30 years ago, 30-some plus years ago. But I'm standing in line, and the whispers started coming, Weird Al Yankovic's coming through. Weird Al Yankovic's coming through. And sure enough, Weird Al Yankovic and his entourage come walking past all of us in line, and he walks straight up into the ride, rides it, and it's off on his way. We just moved like 5 feet forward. He had his ride and he was gone. He was Weird Al Yankovic. And I guess I was, I'm at that age, I was a really big fan of Weird Al. But what do you shout at that guy when you see him in public? Love you, Weird Al! I love you too, random citizen. What's he going to say? I want to party with you. What's he going to do? So I was thinking, why does he get to skip the line? I love Weird Al, but why does he get to skip the line? And I know a lot of these theme parks, even nowadays, is like, if you can get these head of line privileges, or what are they called, like speed passes or something, and you get this whole different line, which is ridiculous. You're creating a whole other line just for a richer crowd, I guess. And what happens if, like, Tom Cruise shows up at King's Dominion? Does he get to skip that line? Or does he have to wait in line with the other Speed Pass people? Because I think he should wait in line with the other Speed Pass people. In fact, I think all the Speed Pass people, and I think all Tom Cruises and Weird Al Yankovics in the world should wait in line with everybody else. You're not that special. We all want to ride. I want you, Tom Cruise, I want you standing next to me, in line, begging me for some of my funnel cake. Are you allowed to eat in line anymore? Or me and Tom Cruise, or me and Weird Al, and Tom Cruise sneaking out behind the line. Hey, hold our spot so he can duck down and share a cigarette real quick. Because they don't want you smoking these parks either, these freaking Nazis. We're outside. We're outside. And you're coming up to me at King's Dominion and say you got to go out of the park to smoke? Lick my sweaty asshole. Ugh. It's so infuriating being a smoker. Anyway, but I think Weird Al should be in line. I think Tom Cruise should be in line with the rest of us. Maybe it'd be good for them, especially for someone like Tom Cruise, who's been out of touch with the common man for so long. Just sitting in line, jaw-jacking with the common folk. I want to live like common people. You know what I mean? Maybe it'd be good for them. And then you'd have like celebrities that show up and like, and they wait in line, and they have an entourage. They have like bodyguards that ride. Do bodyguards ride with Tom Cruise when they go? I hope so. If you're a bodyguard for Tom Cruise and Tom Cruise says we're going to King's Dominion today, you should be like, okay, we can cover security all the way to King's Dominion. Do I get to ride the rides? I want to ride the rides.
He can't ride the rides without someone tall enough.
Oh, right. Tom Cruise isn't tall enough to ride many of the rides.
So he'd have to go on with his bodyguards.
Yeah. Well, he'd probably have like elevator shoes or something. Actors are small, you know that? Anyway, I don't know why. Anyway, you threw me off. What was I talking about? I want Tom Cruise sharing my funnel cake. I'll share my funnel cake. If Tom Cruise asks nicely, I'll give him some of my funnel cake. But Weird Al could just come up and talk to me. It's like, just grab some of my funnel cake. He's like, you're so awesome, Weird Al. Yeah, you want my funnel cake? He's like, I'll have just this. Just don't share any more with Tom Cruise. It's like, why are you being addicted to Tom Cruise, Weird Al? These are the kinds of things that pop in my head when I'm trying to sleep. I just think that they should, wait in line with the rest of us. It'd be good for them. All right, let's go to the coin of the week. This clock in here is really pissing me off, dude. It's wrong. Yeah. Coin of the week. We're going to Malta. Malta, if you don't know where that is, it's, let's just say it's east of Tunis and south of Sicily. Any more specific, just draw a vector from each. East from Tunis, south from Sicily. That's where Malta is. And if you know anything about the Mediterranean, you understand that Malta is this tiny island that is smack dab in the middle of every single trade route within the Mediterranean. And so Malta obviously has been taken over numerous times by, the Ottomans, the Phoenicians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Turks, pretty much the Ottomans. Who's the other ones? I'm forgetting somebody. It doesn't matter. But it's pretty much been taken over by every single power within the Mediterranean over the course of time. And so their culture is really quite diverse. It's like a amalgam of all those different cultures that they've been conquered by over time. That's how culture works in many ways. So Malta is a really tiny island. And as you see, this is a 1-cent piece from Malta. And it's really tiny because Malta is a tiny island. And everything that's on it is tinier. So like the people are tinier, the buildings are tiny because it's a small island. So they got to make everything smaller. You got to duck down to get into buildings and so forth. And so everything's a little tinier. This is a 1-cent piece from Malta. It's a 1 Maltese cent. By the way, it's 0% lucky. I scratched with it. I've been putting off the scratch tickets for a while because we were doing bills and you can't scratch cards with bills. And so I'm sorry. Oh, I'm being informed that Malta is not like a Smurf village. Malta is actually, just because the island is smaller doesn't mean people and buildings are smaller. I'm being corrected on that. My mistake. All right, so let's look at the coin. 2000 Malta 1 cent coin from the pre-Euro Maltese lira pound series. The obverse side, the side with the coat of arms. This thing is so small it's hard to get a good picture of it. Features a coat of arms of the Republic of Malta, heraldic shield representing the Maltese flag, topped by a mural crown, flanked by an olive branch and palm branch tied with a ribbon inscribed Republica to Malta, which is Republic of Malta, and Malta appears above and the year 2001 below. Designed by Nolan, Galea Basson. The reverse side, the side with the animal in the 1 cent, it shows a leased weasel, Mustela nivalis, called Balotra in Maltese, with the denomination 1 cent. It's part of a series depicting local flora and fauna. It's a weasel. I wonder what other animals, but I mean, of all the animals to put on the 1 cent, it's like, well, which animal do you put on the 1 cent? A weasel, right? It's a local, we have weasels here on Malta. There's one. Part of our culture and heritage. Anyway, so the reverse side, okay. We did. Specs. Composition is nickel brass. It's 2.81 grams. It's 18.5 millimeters in diameter and 1.4 millimeters in thickness. The shape is round. Thank you, AI. Thank you. It's metal alignment orientation. Medal, M-E-D-A-L, alignment in the orientation. The mint was the British Royal Mint. For the 2001 issue, earlier years of the type were also struck at the Malta Mint until it closed. This designed to be the second series of Maltese lira coins, updated coat of arms from 1991, issued for circulation from 91 to 2007, where Malta adopted the euro in 2008. These coins were withdrawn from circulation and fully demonetized by 1 February 2010, and they were still able to be exchanged for a period afterwards. It's a common circulation piece with no special rarity. For the 2001 date, collector values are modest, typically within the range of roughly 20 cents to $1.50 for this coin. Depending on the condition, higher and uncirculated mint examples. Most circulated ones are worth a little more than nominal interest to collectors. Vintage figures for specific years like 2001 are not always published in detail and generally described as common. In short, it is a late series Maltese 1 cent piece featuring the national arms on one side and the native weasel on the other from the final years of the lira before the euro. I remember when 2008 when the euro came out and I was like, that's really bummed me out. Because I think currency really is a part of every country's culture and heritage. And I know Europe is a complicated place and there's so many nations in Europe and every single one of them had their own currency and so forth. Is that anytime you cross the border, from a country the size of Rhode Island into the country the size of New Hampshire, you got to exchange your currency. And I understand that was a bummer, Europe, but I think every single one of these countries has a right to their own individual, culture. And I think money is a part of culture. And that's why the euro bums me out. That is way cooler. That is way cooler. Anyway, we're going to stay in Malta for this week and next week. And then maybe I was thinking we'd take a flight to the United Arab Emirates. What do you think? This is a recent acquisition, by the way. It's like the great thing about doing these bits, people are like, this is boring, don't do this. It's like, no, I'm going to do it. Because people watch it. It's like, I have some, my friends would be like, I have some foreign coins. And they'll come and bring me these things. It's like, where were you in Malta? Tell me about Malta. And I think that is incredibly cool because, because I think it's cool. Anyway. Let's do a couple movie reviews. I watch these movies, and I do it for you. And sometimes I can warn you not to watch a movie. So the 2014 movie, The Mule, I want to say this right off the top. there are some things that should never be put on film. Okay? And I'm not talking about smuggling heroin out of Thailand. Because that's kind of what this movie is about. Kind of. It's the, I don't know, driving force in this. This guy, he goes to Thailand, buys some heroin, stuffs it into condoms, and swallows it in an attempt to smuggle it into his home country. First of all, you should don't do that. Don't do that. Because the likelihood of you being caught is high. Second of all, the likelihood of you dying is high. You know, if you're an adult male, you must have used condoms. You know how often they break? You should know. It's like putting something as dangerous as heroin in your system. Even if it's protected by a condom, the possibility of that condom breaking is high. Do not do that. You will die. All right, don't do that. It's insane. And so, obviously, he gets back into his home country. They realize he's a mule because he's got a bunch of heroin in his digestive system. And so they're going to say, okay, we're going to watch you until you poop to make sure you're not really carrying any drugs. And he's like, no, I don't have to go. And so, like, this movie, they made a whole movie about a guy trying not to poop. And of course, we all know there's only so long you can go without doing that. And like I said, there's some things you should never, ever, ever, ever put on film. Aussies are weird. You know, it's a whole movie about a guy trying not to poop. And he eventually poops. This movie's just straight up disgusting. The Mule, 2014 movie, 1 of 13 stars. Do not watch. Aussies are weird. I thought because, like, Australia is like, is Australia? I don't know. Australia's kind of big. But I thought Australia's like just a little bit smaller than America, and so that's why Australians are just a little bit shorter than Americans. So wouldn't like the Maltese people be like really like Smurf size? You follow my logic on it? Anyway. Let's do another movie review. Because that was such a horrible movie, I have to give you a really good one. Now, this really good one, I think it's only available, it was on Netflix, I think. Is that what we watched it on, EK?
So,
Yeah, I watched it, and then I told EK, we got to watch this together. So we watched Turbo Kid, 2015 movie. It is a better comic book movie than most of what are called comic book movies in this modern era. All right, has a real like retro 80s vibe that I love. You got BMX bikes and like 80s style comic imagery of the post-apocalyptic wasteland, because that's where we are in this movie. It's a post-apocalyptic wasteland. You got this guy, his name is the Kid. That's in the credits. Everyone just calls him Kid. And he's like, you know, a teenage boy growing up in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. A lot of dangerous stuff. He's a scavenger and so forth. And he starts getting into a little trouble. I don't want to give away the plot, but he meets Apple, the female character, and it's kind of like a weird relationship they have because she's a robot, first of all. Second of all, she clips this armband on him because she's like a friend bot, you know? And so now that I have an armband, and the person with the armband was her entire purpose. And so she didn't have anybody. I'll let you figure that out on your own. And so she just claps it on. You're my new friend. And as companions go, she's cute, she's funny, and not bad for a companion, And so, but it's clearly like designed to be a friend for a female. But, heroes need to have friends. They need to have a crew. So, Turbo Rider is like a comic book that exists in this dimension, and the Kid eventually finds Turbo Rider's armor and weapon. All right, and Turbo Rider's weapon and armor are pretty one-dimensional, and it's fine for the purposes of this movie, Plus, it's not overly powerful in the sense that it makes everything too easy for the Kid and for Apple, and so you still have to like put in your own work in terms of being a hero. There's fantastic characters everywhere in this movie, from Zeus, Michael Ironside, who's fantastic, always playing a villain whenever he's playing a villain. And you have a character called, Skeletron. You see him up there? Skeletron. Fantastic characters. You got the kid, you got Apple, you got, what's the other guy's name? Frederick. He's cool too. He's actually like the coolest of the characters. And Turbo Kid is just slightly under them. And of course you got, a fairly predictable plot, but the plot does run deep, in terms of character development and so forth. I don't want to give away too much. I'm trying to be vague and not give away the plot, but I mean, you got Zeus, you got Frederick. Heroes need allies. It's always a good thing, and the retro feel of it. I love this movie. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Turbo Kid 2015, 13 of 13 stars. I really don't know how to improve it. I was sitting there. I literally was thinking, like the last time I watched it, how could I improve this movie? And even if I doubled the budget, I don't know what I could do to improve the movie. I mean, how much money do you really need to make a post-apocalyptic wasteland look convincing? I'll look at shots and it looks like it was filmed at a quarry or something like that. A real cheap place for somebody to film. And I'm just like, that works. That works for or junkyard. We go to a junkyard, we film there. It works. So, I don't know. I don't know how much you could improve it. Fantastic movie. Highly recommended. All right, let's do the news worth knowing. All right. War is going on. Let's catch up on that. U.S. Saudi Arabia strike Iran-backed groups in Iraq after brief pause in fighting. All right. Bullet points. For the first time, Saudi Arabia joins the U.S. in Iraq and Iran. Launched missiles at U.S. forces in Jordan, widening the regional war. Iraq condemned the U.S.-Saudi attack on Iran-backed militias as a violation of sovereignty, while rejecting the use of Iraqi territory for strikes against neighboring countries. So CENTCOM is considering cell phone confiscations for troops in Jordan after warnings that the videos and location data could help Iran attacks on U.S. bases and improve follow-up targeting. Yeah, do that. That's a bad sign right there. So failed Iran talks over the Strait of Hormuz sent oil prices sharply higher today. Anyway. There's one thing that Trump said that I want to talk about. Iraq calls for legal action over U.S.-Saudi strikes as Trump vows Iran will get a beating. All right. They're constantly updating this, so that probably the headline I'm looking for is not readily available. Yeah, some troops got killed, and Trump's like, he said something like, we're gonna kick their fucking ass or something like that. It was like, okay, fucking shit out of him. I was like, okay, well, we're waiting. And I guess it's good that Saudi Arabia is getting involved, but also Iraq's getting involved. And I understand that Iran has, tentacles everywhere, including Saudi Arabia and Iraq. So, I mean, you really got to get serious about this. Not only is the whole world watching, but Islamic countries are watching. And if they see that you're going to pussyfoot around with Iran, why would they think that you wouldn't pussy your foot around with even someone who's not as bad as Iran? When it comes to defeating your enemy, you need to defeat your enemy. All right? I know everyone's, we don't want civilians to get killed. Oh, I get it. I get it. But unfortunately, if you want to win against a zealous regime who thinks that even if you do win the war, they're just going to go to heaven anyway. These people are zealots. They're crazy. And they and everyone like them will not stop until they have taken over the entire world. This is that's Islam. Islam is an ideology, a blasphemous ideology designed to take over the world. All right. Russia wants to take over the world. China wants to take over the world. The United States, we don't really want to take over the world. But in order to stop people who do, you got to be serious about how you deal with your enemies. Now, when somebody like Trump says, we will kick the fucking shit out of them, I really don't know, I don't really think you understand what you think that means. Because like I said, you've been pussyfooting around with these Iranian assholes for way too long. This should have been over by now. You got leaks in your administration. Everyone's pissed off that the war's still going on. Either because the war happened at all and people are like, oh, we shouldn't be involved in foreign wars. And it's like, okay, whatever. And then you have people more on our side of the aisle who are like, what's taking so long? People like me who have served in the military is like, why haven't we finished this? We're running out of missiles? I fucking doubt that. Anyway. I always get angry right around the middle of the show, right? All right, let's go to this next story about Anthony Fauci. He's back in the news. So Fauci refuses to testify, and it could have big consequences, Rand Paul warns. Okay, this is another bullet point story. It was just one article. I checked it earlier. Anyway, so Dr. Fauci refused to testify. Today's Senate hearing invoking the Fifth Amendment against each question from the lawmakers. Senator Rand Paul, a Republican from Kentucky, who chairs the Senate committee for Wednesday's hearing, has long argued that Fauci outright lied to the American people about COVID's origins and his recommendations about school closures. Paul has argued that Fauci should be in prison over the issue, but a blanket preemptive pardon for former President Joe Biden still stands. Senate Republicans have emphasized that a pardon would not protect Fauci if he lied to Congress on Wednesday. Josh Hawley rips into him. Right. So, obviously, like Rand Paul, he has been on top of this Fauci issue. And Fauci said, he has been saying, like, Rand Paul's just obsessed with me. He can't get enough of me. And it's like, I don't know, Anthony Fauci. I think nobody loves you more than you do. So, and that's the issue. It's like Rand Paul released this diary of Fauci's that realize, what he gets some information about what he knew when, and, a whole bunch of stuff about him, like, stroking his own ego. That guy loved the fact that everyone was talking to him, that he was in the news, that his name is everywhere, that everyone's like, saying thank you to him. Boy, he was wrapped up in his own ego. The pride of this man is really what got in his way, and he lied to the American people. He lied to the world, because everyone respects America's opinion on global matters. And so if America locks down because of the lies this guy spewed, everyone else looks at us and is like, well, that's what America's doing. And so that makes us look bad because you're an idiot. You're an egocentric idiot. Oh, he's a doctor. It's like, I don't care. They're not immune to things like ego. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to, I got all these credentials and shit like this. I don't care. You're a sinner like the rest of us. And he should go to jail. There's people still wearing masks to this day. To this day. It's been 7 years of all that nonsense. Social distancing. Shutting down schools. Shutting down baseball games. But if a drug addict overdoses in Minnesota, they have every right to be out in the streets coughing on each other and rioting and burning down buildings. It's not, racism is more important than COVID. More dangerous than COVID. Get bent. Derek Chauvin shouldn't be in prison. Okay? All that nonsense. And that's what it proves it was all nonsense. The fact that, the George Floyd situation was all nonsense. Is a junkie who overdosed, and it just happened, and Derek Chauvin happened to be the closest cop to him, and so he gets thrown in jail. because of racism or the perception of racism. And at the same time, everyone's freaking out about COVID. Oh, we're all going to die. There's a global pandemic. We're all going to die. Put a mask on and stuff like that. But no, everyone can go out in the streets and start burning shit down. That's to let you know that COVID was bullshit and let you know that the whole George Floyd thing was bullshit. And I'm sick and tired of all the bullshit. All right, let's talk about Benjamin Netanyahu, you racists. So Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows to visit New York despite Mamdani's repeated calls for his arrest. Netanyahu accused Mamdani of turning New Yorkers against Jewish people and fomenting hate. Well, it's Muslims, that's what Muslims do. They evil. That's what they do, they evil. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made it clear he had no plans to cancel his attendance at the United Nations General Assembly in New York in September, despite Mayor Zoran Mamdani's repeated calls for his arrest if he were to visit the Big Apple. I'm going to New York, Netanyahu said during an interview with Hannity following his White House meeting with President Donald Trump on Tuesday. I'm going to speak the truth in front of the hate-spewing elected official who's pitting one group of New Yorkers against others. He's turning them against New York Jews. Or Jews in general, though. You know. Mamdani has long criticized Netanyahu over his alleged atrocities committed by Israeli forces and military campaigns in Gaza and Lebanon. He recently called Netanyahu a war criminal and, quote, the architect of a horrific genocide against the Palestinian people. Tens of thousands of Gazans were killed during the war. While Mamdani acknowledged that the city officials lacked the illegal authority to arrest him under the International Criminal Court's warrant, the mayor urged federal officials to do so. Netanyahu, in turn, has accused Mamdani of fomenting hate and denounced his rhetoric, saying he purposefully attempting to turn the people of New York against its Jewish population. What are we in the 1930s? What is this? So much hate, so many lies, Netanyahu told host Sean Hannity. I'll always bring it back to that. Anyway. Meanwhile, Trump criticized Israel's continued strikes in the Middle East, specifically Lebanon. He says too many people are being killed. New York City's former mayor Bill de Blasio joined Mamdani's call to arrest the Israeli leader. Netanyahu slammed the ICC as a corrupt, evil organization and questioned why it calls him a war criminal and not Hamas. They don't charge Hezbollah. Supposedly they charged Hamas, but a guy who's already dead, so no, it's fake. It's one big fake. He told Fox News. Damn it, the up key doesn't work on this. I gotta back up here. The Israeli leader warned the ICC is an unelected bureaucracy and could classify President Trump or even U.S. service members as war criminals. They could say that the President of the United States is a war criminal, that American soldiers valiantly fighting next to us, shoulder to shoulder against the tyranny in Tehran, that they're war criminals. Netanyahu also told Hannity about his meeting with President Trump, describing it as one of the best meetings he's ever had with the president. I always hate to disappoint our would-be critics trying to find cracks in our alliance, and what they find like today is a wall of granite. We don't want to see this fanatic regime in Tehran have nuclear weapons to threaten every American and threaten the peace of the world and to threaten the existence of Israel, he continues. So we have a common goal and it's going to be achieved either through diplomatic means or other means. Netanyahu will appear on the next episode of Hanging Out with Sean excuse me. Hang Out with Sean Hannity. Available this Thursday to watch on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. I want Benjamin Netanyahu on my podcast. What would I ask him? Anyway, yeah, so I think it's funny that Mamdani, like, he knows he has no right to arrest him. I would like for him to try. That way, like, Mamdani would get arrested. But, I mean, even if you do arrest Netanyahu, this is the New York judicial system. Isn't he going to be out in an hour anyway? You know? People get murdered all the time in New York, and you kind of let those people go. A Jewish guy shows up, and you got something to arrest him on? What are you going to charge him with? He's going to be out in 30 minutes. You think Benjamin Netanyahu can't post bail? It's absurd. It's absurd. And when Benjamin Netanyahu, when Zoran Mamdani, when he put out that list, I don't know if you know this about, like, he put out a list of, like, all the richest people in the New York area, like 900,000 of the richest properties and the people who own it, doxing every single one of them. I'm sorry, why is he not arrested already? Why is he not out of office and they aren't having a special election for a new mayor? That is insane to me. I can't believe that happened. If I were in New York, I'd be hiring lawyers. I'd be doing like class. If I were those 900,000, one of those 900,000 addresses, I would be getting together a class action lawsuit against him. Because that is the most insane thing I've seen. I don't know, that Shiloh Hendricks ruling was kind of pretty insane lately too. But I can't believe he did that. And additionally, he's saying that he's calling out for protests. People should protest against Benjamin Netanyahu. All right? And it's already at the point in New York where Jewish people are being attacked on the street for being Jewish. That's what's happened. That's what happens when you have Muslims in your country, when you have Muslims in your town, when you have Muslims as your mayor. Islam is not compatible with the West because we believe in things like freedom and not killing people. All right, we got to come back to this one story because it is tragic and sad, but the way the family and the people want to spin it of this Nolan Wells death, it's unfortunate, but we get some more evidence that reveals that maybe I was right in my speculation about what really happened to this kid. So Nolan Wells' mystery deepens as email indicates teen drank heavily before vanishing. The forensic pathologist hired by the Wells family concluded the cause and manner of the death were, quote, undetermined. Well, they were hired by the family, right? And the lawyer of the family, which is like, what is it, Ben Crump? The bird, which is the bald eagle. The mysterious death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells has taken another turn after a newly obtained document listed the missing teen's alcohol intake as heavy as authorities searched for him on Horn Island over the 4th of July weekend. The document, July 5th, Mississippi Department of Marine Resources told Marine Patrol email obtained by Fox News Digital was sent to the U.S. Coast Guard as authorities searched for Wells. Along with his physical description and last known location, the email lists alcohol intake heavy but does not identify the source of that information. Wells disappeared while on a boating trip to Horn Island with friends. An extensive multi-agency search ended on July 6th when his body was discovered. Authorities have not publicly identified the cause or manner of death, and the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's autopsy and toxicology results remain pending. Newly reported details come days after a private autopsy commissioned by Wells' family concluded the cause and manner of death were undetermined, pending investigation. During a July 22nd news conference, civil rights attorney Ben Crump said an area of red discoloration was found on the back of Wells' head, but said Dr. Roger Mitchell, who performed the independent autopsy, could not determine the cause or manner of death pending further investigation. Crime Stories with Nancy Grace, host Nancy Grace, later discussed the findings on her show where she raised additional questions about the information. She pointed that what she described as a deep red tissue beneath the skin on the back of the Wells' head said the independent pathologist did not receive Wells' lungs or throat when conducting the second autopsy. You get pieces of him for an autopsy? Grace also questioned whether those findings could be significant, but emphasized that she did not know what caused Wells' death and noted there are many accidental possibilities. There's a deep red subcutaneous tissue on the back of his head. On the back of Wells' head, Grace said, according to the discoloration, is localized rather than consistent with postmortem blood pooling. I don't know. There are many accidental possibilities, Nancy Grace said. The Jackson County District Attorney has defended the investigation amid growing public scrutiny, saying authorities are following standard procedures and awaiting forensic testing before drawing conclusions. Authorities have not announced whether foul play is suspected. When you hire somebody like Ben Crump over something like an accidental death, sometimes it'll pay out for you. Wasn't Ben Crump, wasn't he like the Floyd's attorney? Wasn't George Floyd's brother called Felonious Floyd or something like that? Not everything is racism. In fact, very few things are. And sometimes a kid could be chasing the poontang, drinking beers, hanging out on Horny Island, turns around, realizes he left alone, ran off to pee and realized the last boat was leaving or something like that, or passed out, realizes, hey, I can see the lights. They're right over there. And and I remember when I was in the Navy, you had a choice between running and swimming, your part of your fitness test. I said, oh, I'll do swimming. That seems easier. He's like, no, it's not. Swimming uses way more of your body than running does. So I went back to running. So, but when you're sitting there like at night and you see the lights, it looks like it's just right there. It's not far at all. I could totally swim that. I could swim 2 miles. No, you cannot. And if there's like some bump on the back of his head, I don't know if you know, there's lots of creatures in the ocean. He could have bumped it on a rock. It could have been land. It could have been normal blood pooling. All right. But the fact is you hired a sleazebag like Ben Crump to be your lawyer, and they get an autopsy back, and the autopsy doctor probably said, well, he probably just drowned. He was drunk and he drowned. It's like, well, we can't just put that out. We got to find a racism angle. There's no case here. But there is no case there. It's sad. It's unfortunate. And instead of looking for white people who kill black people, why don't you look for black people who kill black people? Because there's way more of that happening. Big money in racism, though, right? All right, let's get to this 2 happier stories. Weirder, grosser stories. Cruise passenger horrifies diners by scratching barefoot with a restaurant fork. Some travelers suggested the woman should be banned from further cruises. An unidentified Carnival cruise passenger has gone viral after she was caught on video apparently using a restaurant fork to scratch the bottom of her foot. Instagram user Lucky Charmed Court posted a series of 6 videos earlier this week chronicling a woman with an apparent skin condition scratching her foot. How long are you filming this bitch? The Instagram poster also documented her own efforts to bring the fork scratching scandal to the attention of the guest services and the captain. In part 1, she set instrumental soundtrack. Wow, how bored were you? You're on a cruise. You must have been bored. Part 1, set to an instrumental soundtrack. Damn it, why does it keep doing that? Viewers see the cruise passenger scratching dry and scaly patches off of her foot before using the same hand to eat pizza. In part 2, the captioned foot fungus lady uses fork on cruise. The woman uses the tines of her fork to scratch her foot more aggressively. Part 3 shows footage of the unidentified passenger picking at her foot, which appears to have dry skin on one of the boat's decks. You're following this chick around? Anyway, the cruise blog Cruise Hive identified the ship as Carnival Sunrise, which is previously known as Carnival Triumph. Carnival Cruise Line has not confirmed the vessel. Fox News Digital reached out to Carnival Cruise, blah, 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 for comment. Carnival Cruise posted a statement on social media regarding the incident on July 22nd. We can confirm that forks are intended for food, not foot care, the statement read. Once we become aware of the situation, our team quickly addressed it, and the guest removed the utensil from service. They make it sound like it's an aircraft carrier. We removed the Theodore Roosevelt from service. It's a fork. Throw it overboard. While the video... plus, do you think it cannot be cleaned? Anyway, while the video may be generating laughs and gasps online, cleanliness and hygiene are no joke to us. Our crew was working, blah, blah, blah. They went on to say. The video clips ranked more than $150,000. The footage has renewed debate on cruise ship hygiene. Several cruise fans flocked to Reddit to discuss the fiasco, and a bunch of people talk about it. Oh, it's gross. I get it. Here's the thing, though. I have to be honest. Forks are really good for scratching. But you don't do that in public. All right? And if you have a nasty skin condition, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't be... find some way around it. Get some cream or something. So you're not, constantly itching, so you're like other people, get grossed out by you. I'm sorry. It's almost mean, because I understand you have this condition and you're itchy and so forth. But at the same time, people are, we're eating here. There's times when I'm at home and I'm like, I scratch my back against the door and I'm really scratching the bottom of my foot or stuff like that. That's at home. That's at home. I don't have any skin conditions, so I don't know how horrible it is for you. Additionally, it's Carnival Cruise. EK was telling me that it's like rock bottom. And additionally, it's not just cruise lines where, because people get sick all the time. And when you go on a cruise, people who go on cruises are well aware that people get sick all the time on cruise ships. And so they're very alert and aware for something like that. But the whole issue, I think, is the nature of clientele in general. All right, you can argue that there's all sorts of problems with service and the way people treat you when you McDonald's or any kind of restaurant is like everyone's just a little bit more of a dick than they were 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And so but I mean, even if you go on an airplane, there's people in pajamas, with their bonnets on and stuff like that. And it's like people used to wear suits when they got on planes. There's a sense of professionalism and pride about where you are, a decorum to what you're doing. I mean, it's not cheap to go on these cruise lines. And people say, oh, well, Carnival Cruise is bottom of the barrel, but it's still a lot of money you're paying to go on this thing. Treat yourself with respect, that kind of respect. Treat the cruise line and the people around you with that kind of respect. It's like everything turned into a Kmart. No, it turned into a Walmart at 3 a.m. All right. Let's do these last. It's kind of a double story, but I liked it because, I think bears are cute. I think they're funny. And they're very dangerous. They're very much like humans in that regard. Cute, funny, and dangerous. Black bear caught on video wandering into a California water district office after pushing open front door. The all-business bear entered the Crestline Village Water District in the San Bernardino Mountains. So is this where we get stuff to drink? No. Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you did here. Black bear wandered into a Southern California Water District office Wednesday after pushing open the front door, briefly exploring the building before walking back into the surrounding forest. Surveillance video from the Crestline Village Water District in the San Bernardino Mountains captured a small black bear entering the office Wednesday afternoon as employees watched the unexpected encounter unfold. The bear spent several moments sniffing around the office and wandering through the building before returning to the entrance, pushing the door open again and leaving on its own. Oh, I'm sorry, I got the wrong address. MapQuest took me on this really stupid route. Wrong place, sorry. Quote, it was exciting. It was really cool to see a bear that close. Well, hopefully you mean through the camera. I wouldn't want to be that close to a bear. Like I said, they're very dangerous. It's rare that we get that close to them. Crestline Village Water District. Yeah, because they'll rip your face off. The Crestline Village Water District employee Jocelyn Bryan told KTLA. Thankfully, no one is in danger, but no customers were in at the time, so it's just us. So it couldn't have been better. We're scary but wonderful. Excuse me. Employees also told the outlet that they watched the bear wander back out into the woods after leaving the office. I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. No injuries were reported. The animal did not appear to damage the building. The encounter is the latest unusual bear incident to capture attention this week. And this is the other story I wanted to talk about. Earlier this week, a bear in rural New Mexico climbed atop a utility pole near Gladstone in New Mexico, about 170 miles east of Santa Fe. In the encounter that was captured on video was later shared with the U.S. Department of the Interior, by the U.S. Department of the Interior. We appreciate the enthusiasm for American energy dominance, but this isn't what we meant. The department joked on social media, posting the accompanying footage. The video, verified by Storyful, also included audio from a 911 caller reporting the unusual sight. Yeah, a bear atop a utility pole. I'm calling to report a bear on top of a light pole, the caller told a dispatcher. Dispatcher said wildlife officials had already been notified, but could not safely tranquilize the animal while it remained on top of the pole because it would fall. The bear later died after being electrocuted before wildlife officials could safely rescue it. And we think it would be better to hit him with a tranquilizer and have him risk dropping from the pole? New York Post reported. Wildlife experts say black bears are strong climbers and may scale trees, utility poles, or other tall structures when startled by people, traffic, or dogs. Is that what happened? In mountain communities like Crestline, where bears regularly roam in neighborhoods in search of food. Encounters with people are not uncommon, though wandering into an office building is considerably more unusual. Yeah, like the telephone pole makes more sense than a bear wandering into the water. Is this where you get drinks? Do you sell drinks here? Oh, what do you do? Like manage the reservoirs? Oh, wrong place. My mistake. Google search. Let me do a different Google search. Let me change my. He just walked out. What do you think the bear was thinking? Maybe there's food in there. I can't read. Apparently they have water or something in here. This is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again, I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. You can follow me on social media at DNALATSAW. That's the word Wasteland spelled backwards. On Twitter at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. And Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman. And I love you.
The madman loves you all, from the big to the small.